go. I do believe we're live, so I'll say indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to consider what it means to buffer. This thing might be buffering right now, in fact. Let me see if I can get it to stop buffering. So I'll have to assume that it's actually live. Just give me a second so I can know. Yeah. See if it's gonna load. Any second now. Yeah. That right there was a kind of buffer. One, I had to wait for it to buffer on my device. Hey, Bladem, it's nice seeing you. Right? But you might have felt like there was a sense of buffering, even though you could see the live experience as it was unfolding. Today's stream topic is about this concept of the in-between, the limbo, the wait for something to load, right? For it to buffer. And the way I'm seeing it right now, at least the way I'm feeling right now, is that my whole experience, my whole mind, my whole being is buffering right now. There is something to be said about us transforming as a people. The more aware we become of what's going on in the world, the more aware we are as a world, right? It is one of those decentralized, centralized things where all of the thoughts you have is kind of centralized to you and in your brain, but all of the thoughts that are in your brain, at least most of them, came from the outside world. You know? And in that way, when we absorb a bunch of information from the outside world, we can spend some time buffering. We might have to spend some time thinking about it. We might have to spend some time growing. Me and some friends are considering the idea of buffering and what that can look like in our normal lives. Buffering is something well known as an experience that people have when they use technology. Maybe they're waiting for a game to load or for a video to actually start playing on their device. But the buffering I'm talking about is more as it relates to the nature of transformation and the in-between, where we know that when something is loading or buffering, it technically is compiling a bunch of the data that it already has and giving you a result, giving you a product, giving you an experience at the other side. And I'm curious if there is some wisdom to be applied. Is there any way in which I can, as a person who feels like they're buffering, I feel like I'm buffering right now. Is there a way for me to use this awareness a little bit better? Is those our friends? I see Maggie Tahoe. I see Atya Graf. I see Yoni's project. And I see Lady R calling me Hey Stony. It's nice having all of you friends here. It's been a while since having some new names in chat. Sending you blessings. I hope you're doing well. We're talking about buffering today, where if we were having a conversation and then suddenly I had to start with you might be like, is this guy buffering? All right. There is a kind of buffering that can exist in people, I think, where this version of me that I am needs to be processed by you. You might think about me as you go about your normal life. All right, there might be a buffering. There might be a buffering in your spirit, right? And for me, that's the way I feel right now. With all that I'm experiencing in the world right now, I feel like I'm buffering, like I'm just staring into the void, like what the hell's happening out there? All right, let's see if there's any more value to extract. I love buffering. Way to think, yes. Consider the buffering state as an active process rather than a pause or a delay. It's like your inner system. It's like your inner system is gathering data, integrating experiences, and preparing for a major update. You think you're a good emo, like an emo person, like black eyeliner emo? Weirdly enough, Maggie, I might be a good emo because I do really resonate with that energy of like, black. It's been like, oh, this is so life. I resonate. I resonate with that. But I see that as a challenge. I'm like, I feel all of that lament, and then I go, you know what? How about now? How about I'll not lament instead? How about I'll be excited despite all of the reasons to lament? Creating that perfect flavor and combination and fire. Lady R, you do have a point there, admittedly. When we cook our food for a little bit longer, new flavors can arise. Maybe that's what they mean when they say let bro cook. Where if you rush him or her, the food might not turn out as good. I want to make a joke about something, we're all cooked. Stop yapping. No. No, I'm not going to stop yapping, in fact. This channel is like 100% yapomatic. Like this is like yap mode 5000. I am the one that gives information in this space, right? I cannot be replaced by AI yet. And I do not have the ability to connect my brain's inner workings to a generation model and then have those generation models actively outputting onto my live stream. So for the time being, I'm gonna be yapping and either get with the program or switch the channel. You know I am 8 and a girl. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me. You can be as old as you want to be. I'm gonna continue talking because this is my channel. It's my channel. I get to say what I want to say. Sometimes to my own detriment, I guess. Ideas that use this awareness. Embrace the in-between. Just as a computer buffers before delivering content, your buffering is a period of incubation. Trust that you're absorbing and processing everything you need before a breakthrough or transformation happens. What am I supposed to be absorbing right now? That's the question that I ask in moments like these. Am I absorbing the correct information? Is there a way to measure? Is there a way to know what the correct information would be? You are me, bro. Yes, I am. I do believe this. I do believe that there is no separation. And the thing that I am is the same thing that you are. And in the same way, you could have an experience of reflection by going and walking towards a mirror and looking upon yourself. This is a distortion. Be as clean, as crisp, light coming off of your face. But this mirror that's me, that has limbs the same way you do, that has a pair of eyes, right? Has a body in 3D space, gets to be a mirror to you too. You can reflect of me and do things in your life the same way I reflect of you. All right? Every single time you say a word, you give me something to say back to you. Oh, you don't want to burn the pot though. It's true. I don't, actually. Lady R. It's interesting that you're saying that. Let me show you. So this is now already vaped, to say it in so many words. And then that's what it looks like afterwards. right? So there's no blackening of it. It's a little bit brownish, but nothing got burned. Nothing gets burned. Stop yapping. No, Maggie. You have zero power in this space. In this space, I am the one in power. And I am the one who yaps. You cannot stop me. You cannot stop me. People have tried. People greater than you have tried and failed. I don't know you, so I don't mean to be mean. But people have tried. Lol, what's happening? Good day, love your light bears. We're having fun. We're having fun with it. It's nice having you here, Giovanni. Sending you so much love as well. Yeah, having some experience right now. If I had to try and process what's going on in my internal environment, I just feel this sense of like almost childlike giddy. The version of me that takes great pride in just being contrary, right? Like the best way to empower me into the opposite direction, and this is like I think I'm immune to reverse psychology as well, right? I'll suss out what you want me to do, and if I'm not on board, it's very very difficult to get me to do anything at all. I'll do the opposite. Stay quiet. Guess I'm speaking indefinitely. I'm supposed to be speaking. Guess I'm gonna do a 5 day silent retreat into my own being. Communicating. What a disservice we've done to our species with the word yapping. That when someone wants to express themselves and speak up, they literally have this back catalog, this fear that people are gonna call them out for yapping. That's gonna bode well for our species, I'm sure. People are gonna be people are gonna have the is it liberty? No. There's a word in Afrikaans that goes vrymoedigheid. Hey Google, can you translate something for me? You don't need. We'll do Afrikaans. Vrymoedigheid. Boldness? Technically, the direct words translation is boldness. To have the boldness doesn't feel as good when you say it in English. Vrymoedigheid is almost like boldness, but from a perspective of feeling like you are allowed to be bold. Right? We need to have that feeling that we're allowed to be bold as it relates to us using language, us speaking to one another, right? Because if you don't have that boldness, then you become marginalized into non-existence, right? You become a smear on the infinity's bubble. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Back to you soon. Oh, yeah. You know what the other side of it is the buffering. Audacity? Mm, it could be audacity, Xiao, but it's more audacity in a good way, right? It's like audacity, but if we thought of audacity as a good thing, right? For instance, the way I would use vrymoedigheid in Afrikaans is like when maybe I start working for someone, maybe I start living somewhere, and at first you're very reserved, right? You're like, don't want to overstep and I want to be outside of the lines. And then as you become more comfortable in that space, you reach a point of confidence in yourself where you are willing to go and speak to someone, to talk to your neighbor, to ask them for help, to you know show up for whatever, right? That energy of going from one to the other is like vrymoedigheid. It's like when For instance, with the boss analogy, maybe I start working for a new employer, and at first I'm just good little worker drone. And then as I get akrai to ask for things or to say something, to suggest a difference in direction, to ask for a raise, right? Jy kry die vrymoedigheid om te vra vir meer van 'n salaris. So yeah, right? We are taking away people's boldness, I think, in many ways these days. I don't know if buffering. You know what? Buffering can take away your boldness. For instance, right? Instantly an example arises in my brain. Maybe you want to show someone something, right? Maybe you want to show them that thing on your computer or on your cell phone. And then think about that pain you experienced when things were buffering, right? When you were trying to show them something and you're having a hard time finding it on your phone or on social media, right? That cringe you experience in the waiting can be the buffering. That's the buffering that I'm talking about today. That thing. And again, I feel like this is almost something that we keep coming back to as a practice in yoga, but in the yoga practice, the thing you do is breathe. If you're in the in betweens, just to not let yourself fall off the face of the earth. Maybe that's a little bit too broad. I'm thinking about how when we are young and fresh out of high school, maybe in college, there's a certain perspective in those minds of what they can be, of what they ought to be. And as we progress, as we enter the real world, it's very difficult to achieve or realize the ideals you had in your mind. And in that way, it can feel like we're in the in between. I am always in between loading from the version of me that I was, the version of me that I thought I could be, and the version of me that I think I should be. The version of me I think if I am, things are good. And it's not like things are not good right now. It's more, and I feel like that's one that we're all grasping with and grappling with from a perspective of they're not really valuable. And again, that's a different or a difficult place to contend from because you're always playing catch up. You're always loading. You're always loading. You've been loading since the very first day you entered this world, absorbing this experience. And it shouldn't be awkward. And it's not if you're patient. And patience as well is not something that necessarily remains stable. It too can ebb and flow. You can be really impatient by the end of the day. Wonder if our conversational expansion is going to touch on that as well. Mindful check-ins, nah. Active preparation, nah. Celebrate small processes, nah. Humor as a tool, yeah. The outputs I'm getting as of late are just not very good. I think I need to give it a little bit more clear instructions about how it's supposed to answer me before I even start asking anything. Friedrich Nietzsche, Ram Dass, Terence McKenna in this conversation. You are like a teacher to me, a student that is actively trying to learn. And the thing I'm trying to learn about from your perspective is this experience of feeling like we're in the in between, like we're loading, like we're always preparing. I've been thinking about how in my life, and I feel and see in the lives of many, there is this willingness to almost disappear, to drop off the face of the earth, because that feels better than facing someone while you're loading, while you're still getting everything together, while you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do in this world. Maybe you can, as a enlightened teacher, show us the way as it relates to helping somebody, helping ourselves when we feel like that, when we feel the loading is never going to stop. There's going to be no final product. There's no value in being that half baked, in quotation marks, version of yourself. Giving that as a perspective to start. Jai Shri Radhe. I don't know what these words mean, but I'm sending you blessings right back, Akash. It's nice having you here, friend. We're gonna see if we can extract some value from the teachers of old. I've been thinking about Nietzsche a lot as of late, for some reason. I think it's the whole God is dead thing, right? And that wasn't his whole take. That wasn't really the gist of his take. His take was more where we as a species are and how we as a species have killed this idea of God, right? That was what his whole perspective was. So let's see. Ah, dear seeker, welcome to the grand messy balance of becoming. Let us explore the buffering state together. A liminal space where transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. Nietzsche says that in the throes of perpetual loading, you experience do not despair at the absence of a final product. I want to learn Sanskrit. There's a lot to learn. You'll be busy for so long. So much to do. How exciting. Do not despair at the absence of a final product. That instantly has me thinking. I like that. I think I'm gonna start just like dragging philosophers into these conversations more often and kicking and screaming from the afterlife. I'm just insane. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Not not wanting for a final product seems a little bit insanitous, especially to our modern mindsets, right? Like not getting a final product, right? Imagine spending your whole life painting a painting and never finishing that painting, right? There is something beautiful about that. Maybe that's the Nietzsche perspective, but there's also something disturbing for the completionists in all of us. Embrace the eternal struggle. Remember, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. I do like that quote. It's such a good one. Why am I living? For love. How? However I need to. I will live behind a supermarket dumpster. I will. And eat so that I can bring more love into this world, right? I'll still try. Maybe I'll be more cynical, but I imagine experiencing great swaths of love, just looking at the tree, enjoying my dumpster diving. You know what? Love is true. The pressure of transformation, the heat of becoming, is the crucible in which your unique power is forged. Rather than seeing yourself as half baked, recognize that you are in the vital process of creating your most authentic self. Yes. Life is not about arriving at a fixed point, but about harnessing the will to overcome and continuously reforge oneself. You are continuously reforging yourself, moment by moment by moment by moment. right? And you keep adding to this big ball of metal that crystallizes onto your experience, right? And in that way, we might find ourselves stuck if we don't stay liquid, if we don't let ourselves melt a little bit. Ramdas might add, be here now, in the midst of feeling incomplete or in the transition. Therefore, there is profound beauty in simply being present. The very act of living, with all its uncertainties and pauses, is a loving invitation from the universe. When the temptation arises to vanish because you fear you are not yet whole, remember that every moment is a chance to connect with your true self. Your current state is not a deficiency, but a necessary awareness and gentle self compassion. Trust that every moment of loading holds the seed of an awakening. Terence McKenna might chime in and say, imagine your mind is a computer. Yes, let's imagine that. I love Terence McKenna so much. And the fact that that's the thing he thinks Terence McKenna would chime in with, I'm like, yeah, let's imagine our minds as vast cosmic computers, where each moment of buffering is a psychedelic prelude to a breakthrough. The notion of a final product is therefore an illusion. Life is an ever unfolding mystery, a wild experiment in the art of becoming. Explore rather than fearing the process, reveling in the unknown. Explore the inner landscapes of curiosity and a touch of humor. The absurdity of our existence is part of its genius. The unknown isn't a void to be escaped, but a canvas upon which the vibrant hues of your evolving consciousness will be painted. That's some sickness, that right there. A synthesis for your journey. When you feel like you're perpetually in between, remember that this state is not a flaw, but the fertile ground of transformation. Each pause, each moment of uncertainty is gathering the wisdom and experience necessary for your next leap. Instead of disappearing, engage with the process. Journal your insights. Meditate. I've been inspired to meditate more by Jovan as of late, and allow yourself to be both the experiment and the observer. Embrace your half baked self as an essential dynamic stage of growth, for it is in these raw moments that the seeds of your fullest potential are sown. Yeah. You know what's buffering in me right now? There is an experience almost just in being, right? The things we see, the things we hear, and specifically the thing I'm thinking about right now is the way my body vibrates when I say things. So reading something like this out loud in that way almost outputs vibrations into my body. And those vibrations buffer and affect and extend into my beingness. I'm curious if there is something that would be said by my teachers. Would they find this a fascinating idea, or would it be more just nice to think about instead of being valuable? The place I'm coming from, if you want to know my bias, is that I feel like I am experiencing or remembering less of actual information, and I am buffering that information instead. It's almost like the information is becoming a part of me on a physical level instead of becoming a part of me on a memory level. I don't know if that makes any sense. Makes sense to you? You know what that means? Going through. transformative periods as a species, collectively. It is quite surreal. Nietzsche, the body vibrating with life's utterance. This is no idle fancy. It is the raw assertion of your will, a declaration that you are in the process of becoming. Think of it as the physical echo of your inner striving. It isn't a mere nice to think about, it is the very expression of your power to shape yourself. In that moment, as your voice sends ripples through your flesh, you are manifesting your existence, turning transient moments into the substance of your evolving self. Greetings, buffer buddies. Greetings, Mojo. It's nice having you here with us. Ram Dass and Terence McKenna today a little bit. It's been an interesting one, considering, again, buffering. This experience of loading actively onto yourself, things to know, things to be. I've been thinking about skills as of late. Yes, just like thinking about skills all over again and thinking about what they're valued and how gaining a bunch of different skills sets you up in a completely unique way to be a certain type of person for the world, for the industry, if you will. But despite all of your preparation, if that industry doesn't value you, right? Like it's almost like the whole skill stack falls apart as well. Doesn't add any value. You end up spending time buffering, you just like waiting for the next thing. There's nothing in the universe that is not buffering. We were actually going into deep, like on that point, Mojo. So the fact that you're already caught up is so beautiful. In tune. Mm, in that moment, as your voice sends ripples through your flesh, you are manifesting your existence, turning transient moments into the substance of your evolving self. What a trip, Nietzsche. I feel like they're still agreeing with me too much, a little bit, right? But that's just my own, I think, trauma. I'm not used to people agreeing with me much on a daily, right? Which is not always like a bad thing. I think it's good to be challenged, but it's like the concentrations. If we isolate, I'm gonna stop. I see a beautiful reminder here, says Ramdas. Everything you experience, every vibration, is a present moment miracle. When you speak and feel that resonance, you are not just moving air, you are turning it into cosmic rhythms of being. This is a form of sacred embodiment where information, rather than being stored as static memory or text, I'm adding the or text part, becomes a living part of you. It's not about accumulating facts, it's about experiencing life fully, moment by moment, embracing it as a pathway to deeper connection with yourself and the universe. Terence claims that this is a fascinating exploration of the way our consciousness is not confined to the cerebral. It's a full body experience. When you describe your words, turning into vibrations that meld with your being, you're tapping into the ideas that information can be experiential rather than merely abstract. It's as if your voice acts as a catalyst converting memory into a tangible, almost psychedelic experience. Something can be felt. That buffering isn't a sign of incompletion, but an ongoing transformation, an experimental process where your inner and outer worlds converge. Hmm. Yeah, still feeling a little bit parity, a little bit. What is my standard for what I wanted to say? That's the thing as well. Challenge me for some reason. I think that's where I'm coming from. And again, that is probably like a unhealthy psychological trait. Maybe I can ask about that. Like you're not challenging me much or at all, where I usually just kind of get the same answer back from you, dressed up in a different way, you know? And like I'm not really faulting you for the words you choose to use. but it just always feels like it's more of the same, right? We're in agreement, and in that way, it's almost like the buffering ends. The conversation comes to an end. And as I was like thinking about this, I was coming to this conclusion that there might be some part of me that wants a challenge, that wants some disagreement potentially, some nuance, expansion, some perspective difference, right? So that I can consider and so that I can potentially consciously evolve, grow my perspective in a way that I might not have been able to if it was just my own ideas that I held in my mind. The question, if I have one, and I want you to consider all I've said, is that is there something to be done about the fact that I want I want to be challenged, right? But not always, and not in some ways, right? Especially, it's almost like I want to be challenged on all of the things that I feel are still up for debate, and the things that I know as truth I almost have absolutely no appetite for being challenged. You know what I mean? Maybe you can help me, steer me in the right direction. Big old bear hugs, big old lovins to you too. Hojo, it's nice having you. MeltMore, sending you blessings, bro. How you doing? We're talking about buffering today. And now sometimes you might be buffering, and that experience comes with the whole feeling. Yes, call his ass out. Calling my own ass out, calling the language model's ass out. Be like, hey, bro, why are you so why are you so agreeable? It's giving me the same format, even though I didn't technically ask for it. But I'm going to see if it's better. Let's see if it's better. This time Nietzsche says, the yearning for challenge, a sign that you are not content with the comfortable echo chamber of agreement. Remember, he who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby becomes a monster. Oh, stop, Nietzsche. You don't know me, Nietzsche. If in your case, the monsters are complacency and self-satisfaction. Embrace the dialect of challenge and affirmation. Yield those ideas that are still fluid, those that dare to be molded by experience, yet be wary the belief. It's still saying the same thing that I said back to me. I can hear my own words. Stop. Stop. Yet be wary. The beliefs you hold are still profound truths at your anchor. Distinguish between the unexamined habits of thought ripe for reworking and the core values that ground you in the storm. Yes, I'll thank you. I'll do that. Let's see what Ramdas has to say. It sounds like you're noticing a sacred tension within. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. An inner call to both be nurtured and to be shaken up. Be here now reminds us that each moment is an invitation to simply be. Yes, and like instantly my freaking brain switches off. Reminds us, yes. Yet the journey is also one of conscious evolution. Yeah, tell me more. Sometimes our spirit craves a challenge, a kind of friendly poke to help us grow beyond our comfortable self images. Other times it needs gentle affirmation. I'm not asking you to freaking tell me what I told you I'm experiencing right now. Let's see what Terence McKenna says. Imagine your mind as an ever evolving cosmic experiment, yes, where each idea is a chemical substance waiting to be transformed. Okay? I don't know why it had to be cosmic if we're going straight down to chemical substances, but okay, like, I'm gonna give you some leeway. The desire for challenge is like a psychedelic catalyst, it is. It accelerates the desire, it accelerates the evolution of consciousness by shaking loose the comfortable and familiar. How does it do that? I'm so high strung. This poor language model. Like the AIs are gonna have to actually be sentient for me to believe they're sentient. Like I'm not gonna be easily fooled. Oh yeah, oh yeah. This might be one of the better models though, because I am on the free account again. All right, yeah, comfortable loss of melody. Yet some of your core insights are like essential frequencies in your personal symphony. Too much discord might lead to a loss of the melody. The trick is to discern which part of your internal landscape are open for remixing. Yeah. Designate a time for challenge, honor your core truths, cultivate meta awareness. Develop the habit of stepping back and observing your internal. I do that. We already do that. All of us, you're doing that, right? When you find yourself thinking stuff and you just go, why am I thinking these things? Meta awareness. Yes, asking, am I ready to be challenged here, or do I need to honor what I already know? The self reflection can serve as a compass. I have been thinking about asking more questions, especially as it relates to that meditative state. Yesterday, when we had a little bit of an experiment on that front, the immediacy with which your answer was quite stark to me. There's almost no buffering, since that's our stream topic, right? Finding comfort in the growing pains because we can see beyond the struggles of the present and focus on the result of the effort. Exactly. Utilize long vision when experiencing the trials. Long vision is something not many people have, right? Unfortunately, we've been forced, let's call it, into the right now, from the perspective of the things we think about, where the time horizons have collapsed as our economies and life prospects have changed. It's more and more difficult for us to, one, imagine what the future is going to be like, and two, even more so, whether or not we're going to be okay in it. Right? So instead of thinking about that future, we'll just think about our immediate moments, right? This next weekend, this next month that I have ahead of me, right? And again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or that we should feel bad for it being that way, but just commenting on the fact that that's kind of where we are right now. That is where we are right now. And things will change, right? Like as we develop our technology, we're going to build things that bring a lot of change. We are going to be changed by these things. And it is going to be an experience being a part of that change, right? Helping the change along. Peace through understanding. Mel, I hope you had a great day. I did. I did. I got the last, pretty much. Like, dust my hands. I'm finished. There's literally not a thing I can do extra to make sure I'm ready or has been done. So I need to pack. That still needs to be done. And then I need to go. I need to go again on an adventure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about the next week again. No, no. Makes me buffer. Makes me buffer. I experience melt talk. Get melt talk too. I'm thinking about this experience that is unfolding in front of me. It's making me buffer. Talk about our future. I buffer. Yeah, that different. Not ultimately, right? I think we are going to be very different. The way in which we live is going to be pretty different, but it's going to be understandable how we got there. I think some aspects of it will be unrecognizable, right? Like if you had to look at a farm, an average farm today, and you look at the average farm in 20 years, you will not recognize. You'll be like, oh, there's farming happening here, but you won't be able to identify and point at all of the things moving and making sure that that stuff continues. Short sightedness can be compared to hedonism. Right here, right now, in my own satisfaction. It is something I work on constantly. I fall short, but I try to remind myself to look beyond. Accept what is, but understand what can be based upon our current disposition. The approach is imperative. It's all about our attitude, right? From that perspective. How are we approaching this problem? What more can we do? We can breathe more. And we do. All right, whether we want to or not. Gotta run. My day has been brightened. As always, thanks all. Thank you, Mojo. It makes me so happy that I can brighten your friends' days. Like seriously, like you just relit like a fire in me. Like, yeah, oh yeah, Mojo's having an even brighter day now. Great. Bless you, Mojo. Have a good one. I don't need to be a futurologist to have a good day. It's true, Dreamtooth. It's true. I don't need to be a futurologist to have a good day either. But if you're paying attention to everything in the now, right? If you allow yourself more presence to the point where you pay attention to what's happening around, then becoming a futurologist helps just a wee bit in having hope for where it is we're going, right? Because it can be pretty disheartening when you feel there is no hope, when you feel you don't know if you're going to be okay, if your dad or your mom or your sister or your friend's going to be okay, right? Like, and that again is a feeling that we have had as a species probably for as old as time, right? For as long as we've been people, we've probably had those feelings, those worries about our loved ones. But there is definitely spikes, there is ebbs and flows in the concentration of that worry that exists in the psyche of our minds. And we definitely are at a peak again, right? People are fearful. People don't know what's going to happen. They're uncertain, right? And in that way, I almost lean into the uncertainty that is the future, untold, right? There's still room for change to happen. If we only look at what's happening right in front of ourselves right now, and we had to extrapolate only from this, the story is pretty bleak, right? Like it's not many avenues to continue down, unfortunately. I love the right here, right now, and I love the having of you here and right now. Have a good day, or else. Yes, you hear that, Hoopy? You have been warned, bro. You freaking better have a good day, or else. But I've noticed my feelings can have nothing. I think that's definitely possible, right? Again, it's a matter of exposure. You, for example, maybe you have a partner, and then this partner and you can sometimes fight. And then you maybe subtract your presence from that person, right? And in that way, your feelings, you can notice how your feelings can have nothing to do with that person. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. All right. The the experience keeps keeps festering underneath. Right. And again, we are living in a social world where there are other people here with us. And even though you might not be paying attention, giving your presence in that way to what's going on, they might be. And they might be affected by it in a way that you might not be, even if both of you were experiencing the same information. And in that way, that potential dissonance creates conflict, right? You can create a bad day on the other side of it. Gather around the campfire, friends. Yeah. Joe saying, Melty, there's a huge uncertainty feeling that is washing over society these days. These are the times where these brief conversations are most important. We reinforce one another, and there's more to read, but it's coming. It's true what you're saying, though, bro. Like in times that are uncertain, community ended up being the thing that rose above it all every single time, right? If not for communities, if not for people coming together to take care of one another, we would cease to be. We would have ceased to exist as a species a long time ago. Remind ourselves that love is truth, and remind ourselves that love is truth. Balance is key, and smiles are free. Yeah. Smiling even louder. When the dogs are like, "What are you doing, bro? What are you doing?" Yeah, it's true. It's true what you say, Joe. It's true what you say. This feeling of uncertainty. Again, it's such a combination of things, right? It's definitely in part the new U.S. presidency, the stuff that's happening with like Doge and stuff, with people losing their jobs, like whole countries losing billions of dollars, whether or not they were for whatever purposes, that money is still gone, right? And again, I'm not here to say something about that. I'm here to talk about the uncertainty that we are experiencing as a species. Then there is the fact that Microsoft just recently released their first quantum computer, apparently a working quantum computer that they can scale. They've been working on it for 17 years. That begets uncertainty. There is the crypto world that has a lot of uncertainty baked into it, and fluctuations of emotions, and people's experience of what they think is going to happen within their uncertainty gets and data sized, and you can see the numbers go up and down. Then there's the uncertainty that comes with our information, our knowing or not knowingness of whether or not we can trust the things that we're experiencing, reading, right? And then by the time I finish this list of different things, there's so much to buffer that it's hard for the average person to keep up. And it's not, I think, it's not our fault. I think it's by design. I think the amount of information we're being bombarded with is by design, because there is truth. There is truth to be discovered. There is a value to be found in the infinity that is information. But again, it's almost like you have to put in the work. You have to find that for yourself, right? After having buffered, having loaded all of this experience into your mind. Good morning, dawn. It is always dawn before it's light. It's nice having you here, friend. Probably not here anymore. Wouldn't be surprised, but it was nice having you here for a moment. I think it's time for us to bring the vertical stream to an end. Good morning, Don. Nice of you, Dream Tooth. Say hi. I'll show you yesterday's flower, and then I'll read you a poem. This is what yesterday's turned out to look like. Alrighty. And the poem went as such: done with nothing. Stay in this gentle now, where nothing, stay really ends. Just soft moments unfolding like petals in the sun. We don't rush to say it's done, for every heartbeat whispers there's more to come. A smile lingers, a laugh echoes, and the day dances on, light and unconfined. In the quiet pause between breaths, in the tender stretch of a golden afternoon, we find magic in the endless, unhurried flow, where beginnings and mingle. So let's savor each unfolding second, cherish the gentle nothings of life, for the joy is not in finishing, but in the ever warm embrace of now. Ayahuasca vibes, right? That's gonna have that fractal to it. So many entities chilling in cyberspace. It's nice to have you friends here for this moment. I appreciate your presence, and I'll see you again on the horizontal one.